Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Success Mentorship class number 424. And I am Dr. Herbert Harris, and I want to welcome you to our Saturday morning Success Mentorship class. The topic for today is One Home, One Earth, and we have an incredible guest speaker, Katie Augustine, who is an attorney, an activist, and an incredible coach. I'm going to give her an official introduction in a minute, but I want to just welcome all of you on Instagram and those of you on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, and we look forward to an incredible event. Of course, I invite you to visit our website, herbertharris.com, www.herbertharris.com, and take a look at some of the many goodies we have there to help you transform and to schedule a success consultation, a complimentary success consultation, if you're wondering what to do next with your life. So now, before we get started, let us get ourselves centered, bring our minds into one perspective, and do our meditation. So let us just stop for a moment, close our outer eyes, open our inner eyes. Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out slowly. Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out slowly. And in this space of peace and relaxation, I am at peace with myself. Let us affirm that together. I am at peace with myself. Just let that peace sink in. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And in this space of peace and relaxation, my mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Let us affirm that together. My mind is open, receptive, and ready to learn. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. And so it is. All right. Now, let me just give you a little background on our guest speaker today, because she is a phenomenal lady, and her topic is One Earth, One Home. Katie is an earth advocate. She's one of the top 15 coaches in Cleveland and a best-selling author, speaker, and consultant. And one of the things about being an attorney is you can do everything. So she's been a regulatory attorney in the banking industry and has really taken some serious and important positions with regards to compliance and risk management. As a certified coach, she has been devoted and dedicated to guiding conscious nonprofit leaders to help them develop a collective vision and strategy to achieve their outcomes and achieve their goals. So let me bring up Katie. I am excited about this message today, and thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you,
Katie Augustine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I'm so happy to be with all of you, my mastermind friends, and anyone, if I haven't met you yet, just very happy to meet you in this way. So I have a beautiful message today as we're moving into Earth Day, but I'm inviting all of us to think of Earth Day as every day, and you'll hear more about that in a moment. And so I'd like to start by us pondering a question, and that is, what if the Earth, as our home, we already know that she's an energy being. Everything's energy. The Earth is I believe, sacred energy being. And what if she actually were the foundation of our connection to spirit itself? And I'll invite you to ponder that as I share with you a story of my own and part of why I've come to believe that. So about 12 years ago, out of the blue, I received a call from my sister, and she's at Disney World. And she says, Katie, they have these Alex and Annie bracelets, and I'm going to get you one. And would you like the castle, the Disney castle, or would you like Frozen? That was the big Disney movie at the time. And I didn't have kids, so I wasn't as close to Frozen. So I said, I always like castles, though. I said, yeah, I'd love the castle. All right. So that's just kind of that part of the story. About a month later, now we're moving into early summer. I hear a big commotion outside. My partner and I live in New Jersey, and we live in a condo unit right near the corner of the street. And we have neighbors that we're friends with on the corner. And I hear commotion outside of their house, and I go out there, and here, this is an old neighborhood, beautiful neighborhood near New York City. A lot of old oak trees, and the tree lawns are lined with old oak trees. So we have one in front of our house, and there's a couple on the way to the corner. So there's 3 of them in front of us. And here, the roots to one of these 3 trees, the one in the middle, actually got into their pipes. And so some of you may have had that issue in the past, caused a issue with their water piping. And so they actually told me this day that after the trucks left and everything, the commotion was over, they said they complained to the city, and the city was coming out to do a review. And ultimately, within a few days, they told me the city was going to take down the 3 trees, and the one in front of our house, our condo unit, and then 2 on the corner that Bill and I walked every day to the diner, to the park. They were going to take down all 3 trees. And I was really pretty shocked by hearing this. Only one had gotten in, even if you had to take down one, only one got in the pipes. And I was really upset about it too. The first thing I did was I thought, well, what can I do? So I called the city. It happened to be going through the park department. I talked to them. I was trying to do, just leaning into the personal development I've had, and like, you take every step you can take. Yeah. Well, come to find out, they've said they've done a review on these trees, and they're a hazard. Some of them are partly dead, that type of thing. They didn't look dead to me, by the way. But there wasn't really any changing of the mind, it sounded like. So I didn't know exactly when this was going to happen, but within the next couple of weeks. Now, these trees give us shade. I mean, it gets hot in New Jersey in the summer. They gave us shade. A beautiful squirrel lived in one of them. He was kind of squawky, actually, like a lot of squirrels can be. But the one in front of our house, we had this squawky friend squirrel, and the birds and the other critters. And so it just, I was, a little heartbroken hearing this news. I'm also, at that point, I'm already a minister of walking prayer. Without getting into the details of that, I had studied with Indigenous elders. And I knew that I could do, there's something more I could do. I could pray, I could do ceremony, I could hug up and love up these trees. I could thank them for the beautiful life they gave, So that's what I did every day. Again, I don't know when they're going to come for these trees, but every day I would go out, give them hugs. I took out my sage. I took out my bell. I would sing and walk around them. And I know my neighbors now. This is New Jersey, kind of a nice neighborhood, but also business-like. And I know some of the neighbors were kind of like, what is she doing? But I was just praying and conducting ceremony in thanking these trees for the beautiful lives they had given us, and the shade and all of that. So, one morning I'm laying in bed, and about 8 a.m., maybe a little earlier, I hear trucks kind of roaring, and I realize this is probably the trucks for the tree. I just kind of know that this is coming. I've run up, I've washed my face really fast. I run out in my pajamas with my rattle and my sage, and I talk to the nice, he's actually a really nice guy. You can't even not like him. And by the way, I meant to say that about my neighbors too. I'm friendly with my neighbors. And here, they had these trees, they're having these trees taken out. And I'm having these moments of like trying to be nice to them, but being upset with them. So anyway, this park ranger is really pleasant with me. And he lets me, I said, can I just do my last prayers? And he knows, I think he's happy. I'm just not going to chain myself to the trees. Right. But he lets me do my prayers. And he tells me, he's like, we do this all the time. We really have evaluated. We actually, any bird nest, I have special gloves, we'll take care of the birds. So I feel like at least there's loving people that are taking care of this. I go back inside. I work from home. I was a banking attorney at that time, also building my coaching business, but my day was banking that day. And I have to hear the chainsaws all day long and hear the limbs falling and every so often peek out. It's a long, hard day. I don't know if any of you, some of you may be able to relate, whether it was tree or, just any loss of a loved one where some of these days are long and tough. And I knew this was the end, So long day of seeing all this happen, hearing all this happen. At night, Bill and I go to take our walk. We walked every night. Trees are gone. Sun is shining through, and we walk the corner, and I'm pretty devastated. I'm really having a tough time with this. And so I have, a weekend of mourning, really. I would call it a weekend of mourning. I'm crying a lot. I understand what happened in some degree, but I also think there could have been a way to save the trees. I'm worried about the squirrel. Like, where did the squirrel go? Did he find another home? And a part of me is just in mourning. So I'm pretty devastated through the weekend, and I just take the weekend to recover. I also know that somehow I have to make myself, I don't have to, but as a spiritual being and a woman in personal development, I want to be friends still with these neighbors, but I have to kind of get over the fact that they had these trees torn down. So I'm going to leave us there, but I'm not going to leave us in sadness. There's more to the story, I promise you. I do want to go into my slides. I'm going to bring some levity in the moment, and then you'll hear more of the story and why I believe in this connection through the earth, the trees, and really I call it Mother Earth and our trees and spirit itself. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up my wonderful slides for today. And if you just give me a moment, oops, let's see, there we go. All right. So, oops, give me 1 second. I want to make sure I close down something else here. I just don't want my picture to be on the side there too big and bold. So do this first. All right. Okay. So one earth, let's admit you. There we go. One earth, one home, 3 ways to live in what I call earth consciousness. So thank you all for being here. Some of you are probably like, what is this mastermind all about? But I mentioned to Dawn, I said, I'm an earth advocate and we're moving into Earth Day. Could I bring one of my lessons and some teachings around the earth and just ways we can care for the earth and what I call live in alignment with earth consciousness. So, and I love this image just of, these beautiful people kind of together in a circle and the animals around us as well. All right. So, a couple things. I'm going to invite us to use the chat every so often. And so I'm going to say, in this case, put a yes in the chat or I agree, yes, or an I agree in the chat. If you either agree with this or some of you, and maybe I strive to agree. I strive to agree because some of these, first of all, there's no right or wrong here. You may not agree and that's okay. But the other thing is, for some of them, we may not be doing this perfectly yet, but we want to do this. So you can put a yes if you either agree or yes, you would love to agree. All right, the first one. I love our planet. I love her creatures and her ecosystems. The earth is our home. So I'm going to ask you to fill the chat. And unfortunately, the way I have my view, I can't see the chat. So, but I'm assuming that there's at least a couple yeses in the chat. Fill up that chat if you agree that you love the planet, our creatures, and our ecosystems. And the earth is our home. Yes, she is. All right, next question. Or next comment here. I believe humanity can live in harmony with nature. We're not entitled to nature. We live in harmony with it. Put a yes in the chat if you either agree or would love to agree and live in harmony and not feel like we're just entitled to her resources. Put a yes in the chat there. Awesome. And Dr. Harris, you're probably seeing this, but a few people are coming in the waiting room here. All right. And then I know everything is frequency. My thoughts and my actions are empowered. Everything's energy, everything's frequency. So this is a core, just kind of energetic understanding that we're all energy, we're frequency, and our thoughts and actions are empowered. So that last part, put a yes if you strive to agree to it. But we know that as in personal development and the work we do with Dr. Harris, we're aligning with a consciousness that we want to be empowered and not a victim, not reacting to, right? So as an energetic being, I can have thoughts and actions that are empowered. All right, so I'm holding here, I'm pretending I'm seeing the chat, and then I'm seeing a lot of yeses. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Awesome. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's just things that I'm supporting us to lean into or just think about, get curious about. Okay, we're going to move on. Oh, one more. I love this one. Because if you're here at 8 a.m., and some of you, I know it's 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning, you're a leader. You're a leader in some way, whether it's with your family, your friends, and maybe in other ways making impact in the world. So I align my leadership with ecological and humanitarian positive impact. I align my leadership with ecological and humanitarian positive impact. Again, a yes if you agree or you strive to agree. I think mine it would be strive to agree on that one. So put a yes in the chat for that one. Awesome. All right. Thanks for leaning into that. So the first way, I have 3 ways, as we said. First way to live in Earth consciousness: hold a collective vision for the planet. I'm going to share a lot more about this, but just know that this is the message right now that I'm out there doing. I feel very blessed. I just had a public, a press release that was out there, and it made it into like 400, maybe 600 by now, but a number of media outlets with this exact message. I've been saying and sharing that it's time for us to hold this collective vision for the planet. We're so used to hearing what's wrong in the fight and all the things that are not happening. But what would we really love? What would we really love? So as we know, and studying with Dr. Harris, vision shapes our reality. Our thoughts create our things, right? And the reality we're living. Now, we all know in personal development that writing down goals is very important. I did not know this percentage. Maybe you did. If you write down a goal, it's 42% more likely you'll achieve it. 42%. To me, that was like mind-blowing. That's incredible. The reason I mention this is because, I believe not only do we have goals, but we also have vision here those of us that are here in this mastermind. And Dr. Harris speaks to the vision all the time, and he reminds us of scripture and, without vision, people will perish. And this idea that we can have a goal, but we can also have a dream. Vision to me is more encompassing than just a goal, because there's a part of it that I might not know how to happen, but I do have my destination in mind. And so it brings out, there's a bit of a heart desire that it brings out for me. And so I know we do a lot with vision here. And this is, a lot of times it's personal vision. Napoleon Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich as this burning desire, right? It gives us, the goal is fun to reach, but if you have a burning desire for your vision, all the more willing, no matter what's happening, no matter the challenges and obstacles, we're willing to take the steps to accomplish it and make it welcome. So I love that. And I'm inviting us now to, I know we have these personal goals and perhaps a vision for our life, even if we're here in this mastermind. I'm inviting us now to add to our personal vision a collective vision for the planet. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by a collective vision for the planet? Let me give you some examples that might help you in thinking about this. All right. So I'm going to invite us to use our imagination. I think just last week I heard Dr. Harris say we use our imagination to imagine a healthy planet, just like you do with your vision. Now we're going to imagine a healthy planet. When I see that, I see, I'm looking from space or somewhere, and I see the green and blue, a lot of green and blue, because right now, some of that green and blue is turning into, desert up until now, the last 30 years. So, but I'm imagining it, again, healthy and green and blue. Doesn't mean there's no, maybe there are desert spots that are supposed to be there, but most of it's the green and the blue, and then the ice caps. We can imagine humanity living in harmony with nature. It doesn't have to be that we're entitled to it and ripping up the earth and just using it to, the mining, all the things that we're doing. It doesn't mean we're not going to do those things perhaps in some ways, but there's ways to do it in harmony and in much more ecosystem care for the earth. So imagine, I just use the words harmony with nature. I think of animals and nature as respected. So I just lean in, and I know that instead of us just using animals the way we do in animal factories and all that, I don't want to get into all the sad stuff, but I just hold in my vision that people have a whole different understanding of animals and nature, and it's everyone's respected. All beings are respected. Ecosystems are thriving. In my mind, I see birds and trees and fox and the mammals and the finned ones and the winged ones, the creepy crawlers. I see them all living and thriving in harmony, and I try to create that. It's just a side note. I try to create that in my backyard. But the idea here is just when we're holding a vision, I'm just giving you some ideas of what, if you would love to hold a collective vision for the planet, some ideas of what you could hold. Communities thriving. This is about humanity, not, it's not like there's something wrong with us, that we can thrive in harmony with the earth. Communities thriving, clean air, clean water, right? Frozen ice caps the way they're supposed to be. Alternative energies, which are already available for all of our energy uses already, the heating and the air conditioning, but also now the big thing is the technology, right? So also for technology, that communities thrive, that they are living in harmony, and everything is working together in a really good way. So these are some ideas using our imagination. And then if you write out your vision, if you have your vision, your goals and vision written out, I would add to it. This is what I would love for myself and my kids. I like to say, as my Indigenous elders say, the next 7 generations, but these, and put some of these aspects of your collective vision now, what I call this, in your personal vision. I love this quote: every movement that has changed the world began with someone holding a vision before the world reflected it. And that's I meant to ask her if she got that from someone, but Lizzie, my AI agent, gave that to me. We're going to talk about AI in just one moment. Don't worry, because I know there's the good and the environmentally not so good with that. I'll bring that up in a moment. All right, so this is the first step, first way to live in earth consciousness, is to start to imagine a healthy and healthy planet, living in harmony, humanity with the animals and the ecosystems. All right. Now, the second way to live in earth consciousness, bringing what I call ecological or spiritual awareness into our everyday decisions. So how can I bring an awareness into every one of my decisions? The practical awareness here. So every decision I'm making is either nourishing the earth or taking from it. Awareness, though, is the beginning of change. So think about these things as I say them. I don't have time to go into each one long, but just think about this. What do and how much do we buy? Do I, when I'm going to buy something, do I really need this? Is it in plastic? Plastic's one of the big things to start to think about. What am I doing with the stuff when I'm done with it? What do I recycle it? Do I give it to Goodwill? Am I just tossing it? How are we consuming energy? Just how much heat do we use, and all of the air conditioning, all of that? Could I change it just 1 degree and be maybe a little warmer or a little cooler, and just make it less usage? Now, this is where like the technology and AI is coming in. My suggestion is there's a balancing, and I'm right now working with AI to find out how it actually can help the global crisis and help the planet. There are ways. But what I'm doing in the meantime is I use AI for efficiencies for work. I do not use it for all the fun, the little videos and the memes and all of that. I'm not using AI for that because it's a big energy drain right now. And at least in the States, we don't have the alternative energies set up. And you've all heard about the communities fighting against the data centers, yada, yada. I don't have to go into all that. But my point is, with AI, I'm using it where I believe it supports the business and the message, but I'm not using it for the extra fun things up until now. And that may change. I believe AI can actually help the planet in some ways as well. And I'm learning about that. Maybe I'll come back and speak about that another time, but just these are things to think about, right? Everyday application. Oops, here we go. What organizations are we supporting? How are we voting or advocating? I'm not going to get into the voting thing here, but just know that your vote counts. And this is particularly important in your local communities. Who you vote for locally in your cities, in your council people, in your regions, in your counties and states. this is going to make a difference for how you live in, in your space. So just to consider all of that. And then, of course, what we're teaching our children and grandchildren. So we're a living example of what we're bringing to our children and how they're going to live beyond us. All right, let me get to number 3 here. The third way to live in earth consciousness: take an action step, serve your collective vision. As you create this vision, I'm going to invite you to create some action steps. Here are a couple examples, and start thinking about what you would love to take on here. Plant a tree, a shrub, a garden. A lot of people are moving into gardens. You can even do the box gardens on a balcony or on a deck if you need to. Support an eco-friendly, environmentally friendly nonprofit. Reduce weight. Wrapping is a big one. At Christmas time, I wrap my gifts. I use recycled tissue paper from the year before, and my family thinks I'm the eclectic Aunt Katie, but I collect all their wrap in their bags and I recycle, I reuse. Volunteer for an ecological project, right? Something environmentally sound, or just think about some place where you might be able to just clean up the garbage off the street one weekend. Or there's always projects like that usually going on in the cities. I know I've done that in Cleveland. I've done that in Greenville. Study an ecosystem for resolutions. We're not going to study issues to just belabor and complain about it, but study an ecosystem situation that's happening maybe in your town or area, in order to bring a resolution to it. We're all mastermind leaders here. We can bring resolution, right? All right, I'm going to ask you again. We're going to work with the chat here. Again, I can't see the chat, but I'm going to trust that you're working it. Decide on a step now. And I like to say, anytime we decide on a step, we want to schedule it. So we want to decide on one step we're going to take. It might be just taking a walk in nature and thanking the trees today. It might be going to a particular tree today and giving it a little hug and saying thank you for your life. This can be simple, but I'm going to ask you right now, and you can fill the chat with yours when you're ready and you want to. Decide on a step you're going to take to honor the earth today and schedule that, date it. It could be maybe you get, like me, I get a lot of earth environmentally nonprofits asking for donations. It might be giving $5 to one of your, one of these places that's looking for a donation. If you don't have one in mind, Earth Justice is a really good one. So I'm just going to mention, I could mention a ton of them, but that's a really good one. All right. So I'm assuming you put a date, an action step there, and it's date in the chat. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do that. And I'm giving you a bonus. So I want to get to the end of my story as well. But let me give you just one more bonus in a way to live in earth consciousness. And I know, Dr. Harris, I'm tracking the time here, so just be a few more minutes. The bonus is sharing this message. So you can, let me read this beautiful quote and then I'll share more. None of us can save the planet alone. Now, save is a strong word. I don't really know that we're the ones that are going to save the planet. I actually think the planet, she's going to do what she's going to do. Mother Earth, has her own powers. Again, she's a sacred, energetic being. She's a lot bigger than all of us. But that said, while we're living on her, while she is our home, we can care for her. And none of us are going to do that alone. But as we influence each other, our circles of people, we can really make a difference. And so my invitation for this, share this YouTube today and these ideas with friends and family. Educate your neighborhood, your school, your community. Bring earth awareness into conversations. This piece I think is so important. It's not easy for me. This tree situation that I mentioned, we're going to go back to that story where they took down the 3 oaks. That's actually happened to me a few times in my life where there's been trees going down, or I've seen people getting ready to take down trees. And I ask, and I am not afraid, and I try to do it professionally, politely, but I'm not afraid to say, oh, is there any way you could save that tree? Or, oh, don't use fertilizer on your grass. There's natural ways to keep your grass clean and no one cares if it looks perfect. I actually am willing to step out and say things because people just don't know. People are still using Roundup. It's caused cancer in all sorts of people. It's getting in our water. I don't want to get into the details of that. You can ask me, later if you have questions. But my point is, a lot of times people just don't have the awareness. So we want to share these messages to share the awareness and that we care and that the earth is important. It's our home. It's our only home right now. I know people are looking to live on Mars and other places, but I'm just going to give you the truth as far as I see it. the moon's not going to be able to fit all of us. So let's just take care of our earth and let people know that you care. Be willing to speak out when you see something that's maybe not right. And, just someone doing something that's not right, be willing to speak out as well. All right. I want to go back to my story. In summary, let me just remind you of our steps, and then I'll go back to my story. Again, movements are going to grow when we talk about them. The steps are: hold that collective vision, use your imagination for the earth, bring your eco-awareness into the everyday practical application. How much am I buying? Do I need this? Schedule an action step and take it. I know we all did that. Bonus, share the message, share that we care. Okay, now I want to go back to the story. The woman, that's me. The squirrel, that's my squirrel friend. And those 3 trees. I remember that I told you at the beginning of the story, it actually was a few weeks prior. So I had this by now, it's like a month prior. I forgot all about this. I get on Monday after this weekend of crying my eyes out. My eyes are all, luckily in banking, we weren't on Zoom all the time back then. But because my eyes are kind of puffy from crying. On Monday afternoon, I get a package in the mail, this little package. And I'm like, what's this? And it's from my sister. She gives good packages, but I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? So I opened the package and I realized it's the bracelet that she told me she was going to get. So now I'm expecting the castle bracelet. Remember, she said castle bracelet. I open it up and let me show you the bracelet that I received. I hope you can see that. It's a woman standing next to a big squirrel with 3 trees. I kid you not. That is the bracelet. I have it. I forgot to put it on this morning, but I have it in my room here. This is the beautiful bracelet. The reason I gave you this picture, though, is mine's very worn, because when I saw that, I started crying all over again. And I felt like spirit and the earth was saying, I see you, I hear you. Your caring matters. Your prayers mattered. Your prayers mattered. And so I just felt that connection. I felt like God heard my message of that I was praying over these 3 trees and the squirrel. So I'm going to remind us, as Neil deGrasse Tyson, the famous scientist, says, we're made of stardust. We are literally made of the same elements as the stars, the earth, the planet. The micro is the macro. And one of my favorite teachers, Dr. Jean Houston, says it this way. She says, you cannot be a passive observer. You're not a passive observer in the universe. The universe is expressing itself through you. And so I believe that the universe is expressing itself through our very earth planet. And I believe the earth is that sacred energy being, and she's connecting us, if we allow her to each of us, to our own spirit. And so with that, I finish up here, and I'm happy to stay. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. I'm happy to stay and answer any questions. Let me check. Yeah. Okay, good. I made it a couple minutes over there, Dr. Harris. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Katie, wow. You have shared what I call the big picture of life, and that we are so connected with everything, so interconnected. All of us, everything is energy. And so everything is just a different manifestation of that basic energy. The plant is an energy. The earth is an energy. The rock is an energy. Everything is energy. And energy is always conserved. There's conservation of energy. And so the idea of the earth, as you were talking, there's a scripture, Proverbs 13 and 22. 13th chapter, 22nd verse. And it says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And that is really what you're talking about. The earth that we are existing on at this moment, we have to leave an inheritance, how we relate to it, how we take care of it, to our children's children. I'm in North Carolina, and as a result of global warming, homes are falling into the sea. It's amazing, this whole, I guess it's a capitalist mindset. There's a beautiful hotel right at the end of the island near where I live, and the sea has come up now literally they have sandbags around the hotel,
Oh,
and people
yeah.
are still staying there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to stay there, but um, the planet is our supreme manifestation, and it is our, it is where we live. It is our habitat, and as the scripture said, we are put here to have dominion over the earth, over the animals, over the plants. And dominion means responsibility, compassion, and action.
Oh,
And
I
so,
love that, Dr. Harris. Yeah. That
yes, you,
I meant to use that word responsibility. I think I forgot I had it in my rehearsal. I love that you mentioned that dominion and is, really responsibility and
yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much. This was amazing. It really, I think, like it's important that we see bigger than ourselves. When I was thinking about that scripture, so often in our communities, we look at insurance as like burial insurance. I just want to be buried and not leave bills. But to look at insurance, for example, as an investment in your children's children. Wow. So thank you for this message. Those of you on Instagram, those of you on YouTube today, this is a message that you need to watch over and over because it takes us beyond our own, let's shall we say, personal interests to a collective interest that means that each of us is interrelated with every other entity on the planet. And as a result of that interrelationship, we have to preserve it, protect it, and be responsible for it. As a human being with a consciousness, we're able to see the whole picture. We can either build it up or tear it down. We're the only creation on the planet that literally creates a world based on our imagination. Alligators have not built a single apartment house. Okay. The squirrels have not sent anybody to the moon. In other words, all of the other creatures on the planet understand where they are, where they should be, and their literal life, their existence is about harmonizing with that. Birds can fly 5,000 miles from where they were born to another destination, then 5,000 back to the same field. How do they do that? Because they're in harmony, they're in alignment with their creation. Man is the only being that has a choice about it. We can choose to be intelligent and responsible. We can choose to be stupid and irresponsible. The choice is up to us. But one thing you said, Katie, is that whatever choices we make as a people, as a human race, as caretakers of the planet, we will definitely experience the consequences. I won't say suffer, experience the consequences. If we take better care of the earth will take better care of us. If we don't take good care of the earth, it will let us know that it is very unhappy. So let me close out the live broadcast so that we can have our discussions. Those of you who are watching us live online, thank you so much. Watch this broadcast, share it with others. This is a big mission, bigger than each and every one of us. It's a collective mission that can change the whole world. Be sure to visit our website, herbertharris.com, and see some of the success tools we have to help you be, do, and have all that you desire. Schedule a success consultation, a life consultation, so that we can help you determine what to do next in your life with your energy, with your being. So thanks so much for being with us. And remember this, you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come.
Fantastic. I would add that,
Go right ahead, Dr. Beasley.
yeah, there's a program I wanted people to know about. It's called, a friend of mine is doing a book called Death to Destiny.